This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
China forms special task force to lead attempts to contain coronavirus as death toll climbs to 41. Egypt marks the 9th anniversary of the 2011 revolution. And we take a look at concerns over modern-day slavery in Tunisia. Hello and welcome. You're watching Africa Live. We're coming to you live from Nairobi. I'm Hannah Viviers. Hear more stories making headlines this hour. In sports news, Eliud Kipchoge and Hellen Obiri win top awards at Kenya's annual Sports Gala. We'll begin with the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. At least 41 people have now died from the disease in China. There are 1,407 cases confirmed globally. The vast majority of them are in China. Tibet is now the only provincial region in China that has not been impacted by the virus. Wuhan, the capital of central China's Hubei province, is essentially ground zero. It's where the virus originated and it's where most of China's cases are being reported. There are 30 cases outside China after Thailand reported 2 new cases. The Communist Party of China has set up a special task force to lead attempts to contain the new coronavirus nationwide. On Saturday, Chinese President Xi Jinping hosted a high-level meeting to discuss the issue with the standing members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee. Xi, also the General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, expressed his gratitude to all medical staff fighting the virus on the front lines. He also stressed the importance of sufficient medical supplies to combat the outbreak, as well as timely, accurate, and transparent reporting on the virus to safeguard China and the rest of the world. Well, Saturday is the first day of the Chinese New Year, but for a day usually filled with fun activities and events around the country, provincial and city authorities are urging residents to stay at home whenever possible. 22 Chinese provinces and municipalities are now ramping up their highest alert responses to the outbreak. They say they're also willing to give the city of Wuhan, ground zero of the epidemic, as much help as possible. Wu Guxiu reports.
Praying at the Lama Temple in Beijing on the first day of the Chinese Lunar New Year has been a long tradition for many, but this Saturday, the temple has been closed. It's part of efforts to control the spread of the new coronavirus in the capital. Museums and other traditional celebrations, like temple fairs and cultural performances, have been cancelled. Since Thursday, more and more provinces and municipalities, including Beijing, have announced the highest level health alert. The Level 1 response, highest of 4, requires provincial coordination under direct instructions from the State Council.
The municipal and district governments have formed prevention and control teams. 3 city-level medical treatment hospitals have also been assigned to help. Intensive training is provided for the medical staff, and a treatment program has been adopted. We are using a combination of Chinese and Western treatment. We have published a list of 101 medical institutions with departments for high fever, as well as a guide for patients with a fever to reduce cross-infections.
At least 16 cities in the worst-hit province of Hubei have suspended public transportation, including local buses, subways, ferries, and long-distance coaches. The National Health Commission has deployed 6 medical teams to support Wuhan, including more than 1,200 personnel, many with experience fighting SARS and Ebola. China's Finance Ministry have allocated a total of 1 billion yuan, or around $145 million to support Hubei. The government is also increasing supplies of masks, food, and other daily necessities for the provincial capital, Wuhan. China's Red Cross is also receiving donations. To reduce mobility during the Spring Festival travel rush, people are advised to stay where they are for now. The health authority says it's dealing with the epidemic in accordance with the law.
继续以武汉为重点。
Next, we will continue to focus on Wuhan and strengthen the implementation of various prevention and control measures. At the same time, we will further strengthen nationwide prevention and control work, strictly implement the prevention and control measures during the Chinese New Year travel rush.
The World Health Organization hasn't declared a global public health emergency yet. The central government is asking the public to report cases of anyone hiding information or anybody failing to perform their duties in controlling the epidemic. The State Council says it will investigate these reports and punish the offenders in accordance with the law. 吴国秀 CGTN, Beijing.
Uganda has intensified its efforts to prevent the spread of the coronavirus into the country. Government officials say there is no cause for alarm, expressing optimism of handling the risk of the disease. CGTN's Michael Baleke reports from Kampala.
Uganda's Ministry of Health says they have begun putting in place mechanisms for screening everyone entering the country, especially at the international airport. The idea is to target Ugandans and Chinese traveling for purposes of trade.
We are also developing forms that travelers can fill in, and the forms will ask exactly the questions that are related to the coronavirus outbreak, including physical examination.
According to the UN World Health Organization, the coronavirus is a respiratory infection that presents with fever, cough, and breathing difficulties. The Health Ministry says they are working with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the UN World Health Organization to train and prepare health teams on how to screen and handle suspected cases of the coronavirus.
It is important that we give a travel advisory to Ugandans traveling to China, and particularly to Wuhan city in China. And this travel advisory will be issued shortly.
Uganda has been on high alert, and the country put in place a national health task force on surveillance mechanism since the outbreak of the highly contagious Ebola virus disease in the DR Congo. Michael Baleke, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
We're staying in Uganda, where a health official has confirmed one case of Crimean-Congo hemorrhagic fever. A patient was admitted to an isolation camp early this week. CGTN's Michael Baleke has that story.
Health teams have been dispatched with medical supplies to Kagadi district in western Uganda to try and contain the viral disease. This is the fourth outbreak since 2017. The Crimean-Congo hemorrhagic fever is transmitted to humans from tick bites and livestock. The disease can also be spread through human contact with blood secretions or other bodily fluids of an infected person. Symptoms of the disease include high fever, headache, abdominal pain, and vomiting blood. The Ministry of Health has set up an isolation center to manage the spread. According to World Health Organization, the disease has a fatality rate of up to 40%, and there is no vaccine for either people or animals. Michael Baleke, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
We go over to Sudan now, where the government there has signed an agreement with one of the main armed opposition groups, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement North. The agreement signed in Juba on Friday relates to future structure of the government in the country. Negotiations with 5 other opposition groups are ongoing in South Sudan's capital. CGTN's Patrick Oyet reports.
A deal has now been reached with the SPLM North Malik Agar opposition group. The agreement is that Sudan be a secular state. Khartoum says it wants to end wars with the rebels, reduce spending on its military, and begin the process of reviving the country's economy. South Sudan's government is a mediator between the groups.
It is good that you have understood yourselves and you have come to this agreement. This agreement will lead you to the final destination of Sudan. And people of Sudan will rejoice with the peace.
The challenge in the Sudan's peace process is that there are many armed groups negotiating independently with the government. There are up to 6 factions, including the SPLM North, which is itself divided into 2.
We want to start building a new Sudan, a Sudan where there is freedom, there is respect of human rights, where every Sudanese citizen will be treated equally, and where everyone in Sudan would feel that there is security in the country.
Sudanese authorities say they have met most demands by opposition groups. Khartoum says it has dismissed death sentences against 8 rebel leaders and released more than a dozen prisoners of war.
I am sure through this agreement we will bring peace to our people to ensure we improve the living conditions of all Sudanese people.
Sudan's armed opposition groups claim they have been fighting for reasons including the underdevelopment of their regions by successive regimes in Khartoum. Sudan's current government is pushing for its removal by the US from the list of sponsors of terrorists, but one of the conditions given by Washington is for Khartoum to end violence in the country. Patrick Oyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
Time now for a short break. Here's what's coming up when we return. Egypt marks the 9th anniversary of the 2011 revolution.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself. If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are the stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice. Africa Live. Find your voice.
Well, China's Spring Festival has been around for centuries. Families celebrate the festival with their own specific traditions and customs. But there's one which seems to stand out more than others. CGTN's Yibing has more from the ancient city of Xi'an in northwest China.
Guess what these are? Handicrafts? Desserts? No, these are, in fact, dumplings. And to make them properly takes great skill and experience. Rolling the wraps, filling them with all kinds of delicious stuffing, and then folding them into different shapes. But of course, stuffed with the lucky element. The most popular dumplings during the Spring Festival are like this, simple and unadorned.
Its taste, shape, and color are superb. Now we can practice. Move the wrappers up and press them on both sides with your hands gently. See, it looks like a gold ingot. They're similar.
Thank you very much. Making Chinese dumplings is not an easy task, so I have to practice a lot.
Now, this semi-finished art will be steamed or boiled for a couple of minutes. And then the dumplings are ready to serve.
Eating dumplings during the Spring Festival has been a Chinese tradition for many, many years. Our families would gather together to make dumplings and feel a celebratory atmosphere and enjoy our family reunion. So we love a dumpling banquet.
It's all such an integral part of Chinese culture and family life. But there's a feeling it's especially pronounced this time of the year. 郑义斌 CGTN 西安 in Shanxi Province.
With hundreds of thousands of foreigners in China, many have adopted the Spring Festival holiday as one of their own. One African lady whom we visited before shows CGTN Sun Ye how she has taken to the traditional Chinese holiday.
The last time we met Tanzanian voice actress Happiness Stanislaus Lukikala, she was fascinated with Chinese tea. But as this China chapter of her life ushers her into the year of the rat, it's dumplings, the Chinese New Year staple that she now loves and cooks herself.
In Tanzania, we have something called this samosa. In Swahili, we call it sambusa. But in Tanzania, we make it like triangle. Okay. And the process is like this. We do everything like this, but we make shape triangle and a little bit bigger. And inside, we put meat, onions.
Happiness is staying in Beijing for the Chinese New Year. She plans to dine and party with friends, just like other Chinese. She has also come to adopt the Chinese well-wishing tradition, putting up auspicious, bright red happiness signs and couplets in the house.
The luckiest thing in my window. And they say like 5 different kind of fortune may come into this house. And I want those fortune to come to me. I want to be happy.
Moja mbili, moja mbili, moja mbili, moja mbili, moja. The fortune she wishes for is to perfect her line of work. She has already dubbed documentaries, movies, TV dramas, and cartoons in the last year, becoming the Swahili voice many know and love. And she also found a culture close to home in her work.
Yeah, I really figure out like there is some few things a little bit similar. For example, in my country, we have different ceremonies, different holidays, like the family gather together, they eat together, they celebrate together. Yeah, and we have special dish too.
While she can't spend this spring festival with her own family, she hopes one day they can come and spend it with her. Sun Ye, CGTN, Beijing.
Egypt has been marking the 9th anniversary of its 2011 uprising. The movement, which began on January 25th, toppled the 30-year-old Mubarak regime and instigated political change. On the same day each year, Egyptians also celebrate National Police Day. It's often a period of heightened security, as CGTN's Adel El Marouchi reports.
Few days ahead of the January 25 celebrations, the Egyptian Interior Ministry announced stopping a plot of terrorist attacks planned for that day. During this preemptive counter-terrorism campaign, the police say they've arrested members of the Muslim Brotherhood's Hasm group who have led these plans.
January 25th is a date where Islamic groups witnessed a change in their political role, which has taken them to the presidency. Every year, these groups try to either hold a big terrorist attack or rally supporters to protest, aiming to spark instability. This could regain them some strength that makes them negotiate some terms to re-emerge into politics.
January 25 was originally the police day. In 2011, protests have shaken the bond between the police and the people. Since then, there have been a campaign to enhance public's perception of the police.
There appears to be an attempt to disregard the revolution by marketing the day mainly as the police day and not mention that it was a revolution.
Since the month began, all domestic channels, most of which managed by the state, have added a badge of the police day. This year, the government has also decided to change the features of Tahrir Square, the site of the 18 days protests in 2011.
Part of rebranding the day is a major facelift that Tahrir Square is witnessing. Right at the center of this iconic place will stand an ancient Egyptian obelisk. that is aimed to turn it into a cultural spot for visitors to Cairo.
A major celebration gets held every year to honor the martyrs of the police who have fallen during their fight against terrorism. During the ceremony this year, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi was keen to mention the 2011 uprising, giving recognition to the two memories the day holds.
This day coincides with the memory of the January 25th revolution, with its dignified demands and hopes for a better life for Egyptian citizens. I salute all Egyptians on this auspicious occasion. We look forward to continuing the march for construction and development.
January 25 will always be remembered as the day Egyptians forced President Mubarak to resign, and the day 50 policemen died refusing British aggression in 1952. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Millions of Tunisians have marked the annual Day of National Memory to honor the abolition of slavery and human trafficking. Tunisia was among the first Arab countries to abolish slavery. However, many Tunisians and migrants from sub-Saharan Africa are still being held in conditions akin to slavery.
The civil society celebrated the National Slavery and Human Trafficking Abolition Day in Tunisia. This year marks the 174th anniversary of the decision made in January 1846 by the Hussein Bey of Tunis, who abolished slavery in the North African country.
Tunisia was the first Arab and Muslim country to ban slavery. It's one of the leading countries in the world in human rights, but this is not enough. Ancient slavery disappeared, but we condemn the modern forms of slavery.
The National Anti-Human Trafficking Commission revealed that it had recorded 1,313 cases of human trafficking in 2019, up 780 compared with 2018. Statistics also show that half of the victims are women, children and foreigners who are exploited in precarious employment.
Over 83% of these cases are related to forced employment, 90% of whom are foreigners. This is also modern slavery and forced labor, since it's more dangerous than economic exploitation in its broader sense, as the person concerned is also a victim of violence.
People marched to the ancient slave market in downtown Tunis. The symbolic action was meant to denounce slavery-like practices as well as racism.
Slavery is not part of the past. The black minority in Tunisia, whose numbers varies between 4,000 and 5,000 people, still suffer from certain racist practices that manifest themselves through pejorative nicknames referring to their skin color.
Activists assert that girls and women account for about half of the registered victims of trafficking in persons in 2019. They account for 57% of the 748 recorded cases. According to the annual report of the National Authority to Combat Trafficking in Persons, 8 attempts to traffic infants born out of wedlock and 348 cases of economic exploitation of children were recorded in 2019. Authorities say that all slavery-like practices will be criminalized. Aden Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Athletics stars Eliud Kipchoge and Hannah Viviers were the toast of the night at the 2019 Sports Personality of the Year Awards held at the Kenyan coastal city of Mombasa. Themed A Night Under the Stars with the Stars, the 16th edition of the event once again brought out the red carpet for the country's sporting cream. For the second year running, Kipchoge scooped the overall Sports Personality and Sportsman of the Year, having won his 4th London Marathon title and becoming the first man to run the distance in under 2 hours last year. Viviers held on to her women 5,000 meters crown at the World Championships in Doha. Women's volleyball team Malkia Strikers and their trainer Paul Bittock were among the big winners on the night after taking home the Team of the Year and Coach of the Year awards.
My goal actually is to make running a lifestyle.
event whereby each family can get out of the door in the morning and run. And remember, when you run, you become healthy. And when we become one in sports, then we are united. And after the unity, then we have peace.
For me, it was like just a surprise because there were so many ladies there, strong ladies. So starting the year like winning, so probably maybe my year will be good. As you can see, we have a long season, we have Tokyo. So I do believe everything going to be all right.
This is positive for us. This is morale coming at the right time when we are going to prepare for the Olympics. And also me winning as the best coach of the year. This is an encouragement, especially when we need it. We know that we have done it in Africa, and we want to use this motivation given today to us, to the team, to me as a coach, to make more history, especially in the coming Olympics.
Tunisia's Esperance de Tunis and Raja Casablanca of Morocco will battle for top spot in Group D of the CAF Champions League when they meet in Rads in Tunisia on Saturday. Esperance lead the group with 10 points from their 4 games, with Raja in second, 3 points behind. The hosts, unbeaten and also yet to concede, are poised to complete a double over the Moroccan side to reach the knockout stage. But since losing 2-0 to Esperance in the group opener, Raja have come back strongly, amassing 7 points from a possible 9 in their last 3 games. Well, that's it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember that you can send your contacts and feedback, your feedback on the contacts on the screen, and follow us on digital media platforms. From me, Hannah Viviers, and the rest of the team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.